Byron.
Hi, Gina.
How are things going?
Things are going great. You know, time and time again when I'm in the office, and I know this is the case for all practitioners of alternative medicine, holistic medicine,
Right.
is this concept or question of chi or
Yes.
energy. You know, what is chi?
Right.
Are there some simple things we can show our viewers here today about chi, how to feel the energy, how to feel the chi, and then we'll dive into it a little bit more.
Right. And I agree with you because alternative, holistic, all has to do with energy. And if people don't understand the very basic concept, they may say, oh, that's woo-woo, that doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And I remember a while back, my little nephews were asking me about that because I do Reiki, and they were like, well, what is energy? And the concept of rubbing your hands together, and you get your hands warm, and then you hold them maybe a half an inch apart. You can kind of feel the energy, and then you can play with it. You can kind of stretch it and go a little further, and then when it goes away, you can come back together. You can feel the heat between your hands, which essentially is our energy.
I was just going to ask, so for the people at home, it feels warm,
Right.
and it feels maybe a little bit heavy or even sticky a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what you're feeling. And that reminds me when you were teaching me about the symbol of chi or ki. That's that rice bowl with the vapor steams coming off of it, right? Is that how that symbol is?
Right. The character or kanji for chi is actually translates into vapor over rice, which is really neat in its duality. It's the nutrition from the rice itself, the food, that's giving us energy.
Right.
But so that's the physical component, but then there's also the steam that comes above it.
Right.
So
it seems like invisible. I mean, mostly invisible, especially as it trails off.
So for the skeptics about energy or chi, I mean, wind is invisible too, but it can do an awful lot of damage and yields a lot of power. Absolutely. And that's fun to talk about because if we bring it back down to what people can understand, they can remove the mysticism around energy healing. Because if we're all energy and you're just moving, what was it, the word stagnation that we were talking about earlier, right? Right, and from a physical standpoint, if we think about the body for a minute, yes, we see skin and hair and muscle, and beneath that bones, but at the core, from a more scientific level, we're actually a bunch of moving atoms that, if you think about it, are protons, neutrons, and electrons.
Right.
So we're like these energy fields
of things just moving with space around
of constant energy, protons, neutrons, and electrons moving. And then the idea behind any illness, disease, or dis-ease, discomfort is a disruption in how that energy or how that chi flows. And usually it gets either weak or deficient. Maybe somebody perhaps would say chronic fatigue, but then also stagnation is a big concept. If energy's not moving, we're going to set ourselves up for some kind of discomfort or disease.
I truly believe that. And, I just had kind of a random thought as we were talking and as you're explaining. There are days when my energy's a little lower and I'll go and sit on the couch and maybe watch a show for a little while, and then I find that my energy drops even lower, and really I have to jolt myself out of it and go for a walk to bring my vibration back up. And I think that might be a sweet, simple example of how our energy can get stagnant. And that can happen even more in our emotions or in our joints where things settle in that stagnation. Right,
and some common everyday ailments that most of us maybe are accustomed to them. We call that being half healthy. You go to the doctors and they might run a myriad of tests and they can't really find anything, which is wonderful that they don't find anything, but we're still left a little bit disappointed that we don't know what's going on. And we call that half healthy. And some common ailments would be, those nagging headaches that you might get 2 or 3 times a week. That constant digestive problem that has bloating, gas, maybe some reflux, maybe even some elimination problems. And then those moods. One day half a day we're high vibe and happy, then we're kind of down, then we're sad, just up and down, and we don't know why.
Exactly. And then, like you said, we're going to the doctor, and what happens when the doctor can't really figure out a diagnosis is they'll say, well, let me give you a mood booster for your mood swings. Let me give you something for your stomach. Let me give you something for the joint pain or the discomfort you feel when you get out of bed. And now you're going home with a myriad of prescriptions that maybe otherwise you wouldn't need if you were able to understand how the body works, how we can move that energy. And that's sort of what we were talking about in holistic medicine. It really is trying to learn how to move that stagnation like you do in your practice all week long with acupuncture. I mean, what's the foundation of acupuncture?
Right, and a lot of times we do need the assistance of a professional, you know, to go get an acupuncture treatment, a massage, some Reiki that is beautiful in moving the energy, a chiropractic adjustment, even Ayurvedic medicine or EFT, a tapping type treatment, all move the energy. Right. But there's a lot of things we can do at home to self-empower us to also move and get ourselves unstuck.
Right, which we tend to discount anything away from needing to take medication for things that can be solved in an alternative to medication aspect, which is the whole point of our video today, is to really talk about why energy healing is beneficial. Because a lot of people say, oh, it's woo-woo, it didn't work for me. But at the end of the day, a walk, if you just take one walk in your lifetime, it's not going to work. But if you take 3 or 4 walks a week, at the end of the walk, your mind is feeling clearer. You're moving that energy. Right. Or like for me and my sister, we tend to get on the phone and kind of vent after a bad day. And we really just kind of get it all out, right? This and that and this and that. And even though most of that is just a lot of extra energy, we're moving the energy. She validates what I'm talking about, and at the end we feel better, right? And yeah.
Right. So at home you can do, you can exercise, you can walk, right. you can write, you can pick up the phone and commiserate or talk to a family member. Right. You can do some meditation, even some self-massage. All these things are wonderful in moving.
Right.
Our stagnation, because we've all been here where for part of the day we feel down and terrible and sort of really in the mud, and then we don't know why. 2 hours later we're like, oh, we're good, not a care in the world.
So good,
right?
Yeah.
So the energy somehow moved, and we're trying to kind of hone in a little bit so we can all remain a little bit more balanced and not go through these wild fluctuations day to day.
Right. No, exactly. And we were talking about that earlier this morning, how some days the whole world's falling apart and all your stresses and worries are super heightened. And then sometimes you go to bed or you take a nap or you take a walk and the stuff hasn't changed, but your perspective of the stuff has changed. And that's a simple shift in the energy. And when by walking or meditating or talking to a friend, it's not enough, that's where people like to see people like an acupuncturist, especially when our worries and our stresses settles into pain in our joints or starts to create digestive issues, right? Because that happens when we have too much of our emotion just stuck and set inside, then it sets into our bodies it manifests in physical ways.
And then those treatments, and keep in mind, they need to be, at least at the beginning, somewhat regular.
Yes.
You can't go one time.
You can't go to the gym once and get new muscles.
Right. You don't brush your teeth once a year.
Right? Yeah, that would be gross.
You have to kind of get on board and really subscribe to the fact that this is not just a temporary treatment. It's going to be a lifestyle, a lifestyle change, a physical change, a new beginning. You're manifesting a new you.
Right. Well, and I want to elaborate on that because this point is super awesome. We were talking, when we were watching a certain healing show earlier this week, we were talking after, even like a yoga class, or after, for people that go to the gym. After the gym, for the first half hour, you're feeling good. Your vibration's high, you're like, yeah, I feel exhilarated, I feel high energy. But then you go back home, and I don't know, the kids run up to you and talk a lot, or something happens, you read a bill or something, and your energy kind of shifts. What you want to do by going regularly either to an acupuncturist or to the gym or walking is expand that period of sweetness that you feel after you're done working out, or after you say, I mean, your patients tell you all the time, I feel so great, But then the next day, life happens and I'm kind of jolted back. And some people would say, oh, acupuncture didn't work for me just because of that. But we have to train our minds. Like we read earlier that, was it an average of 60 days to create new habits, to create new healthy habits.
Right.
So you do need to do these beautiful, energetic, shifts more regularly.
And it doesn't mean you have to go get a treatment every day for 60 days, but once a week, once every 10 days, to sort of keep our bodies remembering what this new energy balance is like, and we step farther and farther away from all those half-healthy conditions that we've just grown accustomed to, and think, wow, that's because I'm over 50 now.
Right.
It's over 40, I have lots of prior injuries, and we just want to bring to everyone's attention that you can step away from that and manifest a brand new beginning and new health moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're not discounting, more extreme trauma or more extreme issues. We're more talking about, like Byron just said, that half healthy, where we kind of just get used to, oh, I'm over 50, my joints should hurt when I get up, or I'm over 50, I'm just tired. None of that has anything to do with it. Our bodies have an amazing ability to heal itself, but we have to have the intention and put the effort towards creating those new healthy habits.
Yeah.
And that reminds me, I know we're kind of running out of time, but the next episode that we're planning on doing is root and cause. And that one I'm really excited about, because a lot of Western med and prescriptions, they really just band-aid the cause instead of getting into the actual root. Why would you want to take a medication the rest of your life when you can navigate what's going on under the surface, what's going on in the root?
Right. We get used to these symptoms, and we might have 3 or 4 or 5 symptoms, and heaven forbid you take 3 or 4 or 5 medications, when you can dive in and figure out, well, why am I not sleeping great? Why is my moods off? Why do I get headaches? And why is my digestion off? That could be just one root issue.
Right.
That's going to address this branch or these symptoms. Yeah, that'll be an excellent video that I'd love you to come back and watch. That'll be root and branch,
yes.
Root and symptom video.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Byron.
Thanks, Gina.
Yeah, and make sure to like and subscribe and follow. We've got plenty more coming in this series.